Hello everybody. It's good to see you. It's been a few weeks since I've been on live stream and a few weeks since I've been around in general, so I'm really happy to be back. Hi there, Metaloop. Hi, Don't Feed the Bears. I'm so happy you are here. Like I said in the chat messages, let me know if you experience any issues today with the live stream. I've been having a few internet hiccups just here at home, just regularly. And my streaming software is telling me that it's like not the best connection, but then the preview of the stream in like YouTube Studio where, videos happen says that the stream health is really good. So I don't know. So if you experience any problems, dropped frames, anything like that, let me know and I'll see what I can do to fix it. But otherwise, I hope you all have been doing well. How have you been? Hello, Lindsay. Thank you for being here. Yeah, Metaloop. I definitely feel that feel busy with life. Same here. It's been a crazy few weeks, but I'm really happy to be back on live stream with everybody today. I think we're gonna have a really fun chat. Don't feed the bears. I'm sorry to hear things have been hard, but uh, glad to hear that you're getting through it, and I hope that today can be a fun distraction. I'm good. Thank you for asking. It's I can't believe that it's been over a week at this point. 1 week ago, my parents and I were getting ready to like check out of our hotel and things in Tampa, so the week has felt like it's flown by, and I'm really excited to talk about everything. Not just concert related stuff, but since I've been gone from live stream and stuff for a few weeks, I feel like we have a lot of other stuff to catch up on. So I'm really looking forward to everything today. Yeah, that is a good description. Don't be the bears. I feel like I could see that phrase like speaking to Namjoon and our BTS rappers. I feel like they would appreciate that phrase. I'll just give everybody another minute or so to see if anybody else wanders in. If you're watching this live when it's on the channel as a replay, I think I'm going to start adding timestamps to my lives. So that way, if you just want to jump right into the action, you can. Since most of my live streams have like this little talking portion in the beginning where, kind of welcome everybody in and we all chat a little bit. But that might be something that I do in future. So if you're ever watching this later and you want to jump ahead to key points, I'll see about trying to start adding those. But for now, we're just in the sort of casual talking portion of the day. So don't be the yeah, it's been really exciting seeing everybody's like you said, clips and little short videos and things, or hearing, like you all know how your algorithm on social media gets tuned to what you've looked at. So I was looking at a lot of stuff while prepping for Tampa. So my algorithm is even more, BTS focused than it usually is and is showing me concert stuff specifically. So it's really fun to see like a lot of things from the other days in Tampa and from things coming out of El Paso and things like that. Hello, T-Style. I'm so glad to see you. Also, I for a few of you, I think I've been using older usernames of yours. So if you want me to like use your updated usernames, just let me know. And while we're here, before we get into like any of the main, parts of today, I have it as a later slide too, but I just want to make 100% sure that everybody knows. Spoiler warning today, because I will be talking about concert things. So for people who are trying not to have anything spoiled for their concerts, you might want to click away. I'm not going to be like, spoiling things deliberately, but I'm sure we'll be talking about certain things and certain songs and things like that. So if you don't want like anything from the set list spoiled, I will be getting into some of that. Yeah, you went to Tampa day one, so I'm really excited to chat about it with everybody. So I'll go ahead and get started on my housekeeping, just to go through that quickly, so then we can talk about the main part of today, which is the discussing the concerts and everything. But just to get through my housekeeping very quickly, I am back. I will kind of be taking some time out again in August when I go to Arlington for the concert there. But for now, for the next few weeks and next 2.5 months or so, I will be back doing videos and more regular streams, as I kind of get back into the rhythm of things and work on some stuff. So I know that I sort of said to y'all in last stream that I probably wasn't going to be around much in April because of concert prep and everything. And April just turned out to be a very busy month in general. But even so, is even a little bit of like a longer period away than even I was kind of expecting or shooting for. So I do apologize for that. I kind of not only disappeared off of YouTube, but off of Discord as well. I used to do that a lot more frequently. When I first started making videos, I would make a video and then kind of just vanish. And it was like a little bit more normal, because I wasn't as connected. I didn't have as many things going on, like these live streams or Discord. So it's a little bit more unusual now when I disappear. So I do apologize for disappearing, but I also am grateful. Thank you all for kind of letting me take that time. And I am back now. So I'm really excited to get caught up with everybody and keep going with some projects and things that I want to do here on the channel. One of those that you've probably heard me talking about a lot, if you're kind of a regular viewer of mine, is how I want to start a BTS related book club here in our live streams. And with a lot of us, of course, going to the concerts and everything, I know that it's going to be a very busy summer for a lot of us. So I want to try and make book club, kind of fit in around, and other live streams and videos, of course, kind of fit in around our concert schedule, since, I know for a lot of people that's going to take a huge priority. But I do want to start book club on probably May 17th, have that be our next live stream. So 2 weeks from now, on Sunday, of course. And I'd like to start with The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas, which of course was a big inspiration for a lot of the visual symbolism in the Spring Day music video. And it's also a very short story. So I thought that would be a good way to start book club, because then we could kind of experiment with it, see what we liked, kind of work out any of the kinks and go from there. So if you'd like to join me for that, that's going to almost be sort of like our experimental jumping off point. And then I'll be kind of working it around everybody else's concert schedules and stuff. So that way I'm not asking you to like read a whole book before your concert. So I will be kind of experimenting with that. So I would love if you all would join me for that. Hi there, Sonia. Hi, Hitchhiker Hobbit. So good to see you all. Hello, Fatima. Thank you for being here. I'm so glad that you could join us today. Metaloop, yeah, Namjoon's going to give us even more books that we can pull from for book club. We'll be busy for a while. If you're just joining us, hi there. I was just letting everybody know. So keep an eye on things as I go through the live stream today, and let me know if anything is going on with my internet connection. My live stream software is telling me that I have a bad connection, but then YouTube is telling me I have a good connection. So I don't know. So if anything happens, please just let me know if you're experiencing any issues. Sonia, yeah. So I part of why I kind of want to start off with like a shorter story is because I want to get a feel of what the best way is for us to do book club. I do want to do it as a live broadcast so that we can talk about, like themes and symbols and answer some questions and things together. But I also am not sure, like, should I post questions on Discord? Should I post them in the community post section of my channel? So, we'll kind of, I think, figure all of that out together, and we can kind of experiment. But definitely that'll be like a live stream so that it kind of feels like we're like an actual book club, meeting and talking about a story, and talking about the symbols and themes and things. So that'll be my goal, for that at least. And then we can go from there and adjust. For those of you who do want to read The Ones Who Walk Away from Last, I do warn you, it is a very, very dark short story. Lots of things that are, like very sensitive topics, just based on the nature of what the story is about. If you were interested in reading it, I think it's on, like, if you're an audiobook person like me, I think it's on Audible. The author is Ursula K. Le Guin. So let me see. I feel like at one point it was in a free collection, but let me just double check that. It would help if I could type today. Goodness me. Yeah, my internet is so wonky today. Holy moly. Yeah, it looks like it might be on a free. So if any of you have Audible, it looks like it is in a free like volume of Ursula K. Le Guin short stories on there. And your local library might have it. The one that I'm looking at on Audible is The Wind's 12 Quarters. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. No, it's not free on there. It looks like it is a credit. That's strange because it's not showing that. Oh, it's just my internet being wonky and not showing me. I had to hit refresh. Yeah, man, my internet is wild in today. At least on my phone it is. But you might be able to find The Wind's 12 Quarters like at a local library or anything like that. And I do believe that certain like colleges might have The Ones Who Walk Away from Last available as a PDF on their website. I know that's kind of sketchy because you're kind of like circumventing being able to actually like pay for it and support the author. But I think that is an option for certain universities. Oh, that's a good point too, Metaloop. There's probably also free on YouTube. There are probably people who do readings of it and anything like that. And I will, of course, give a little plot summary. So if you can't read the story before you come here, I will definitely still make sure that you're up to date and caught up on everything. So that's just the general housekeeping for what's going to come next for the channel. But for today, we're going to be focusing on talking about BTS's concerts and my concert experiences in Tampa. So like I said a little bit earlier, spoiler warning for this, this is not going to be like a concert analysis. It's not a concert vlog. It's not a review. But it will most likely contain spoilers for the concert. Like, I'm not setting out to like give you the whole set list or anything like that, but I'm sure just through general conversation, that certain things will come up. I do have pictures of like the stage and the stage setup, things like that. So there will be those types of visual spoilers and spoilers that I'm giving, while we're talking. So if you're trying to avoid any spoilers whatsoever, if you're trying to avoid like hearing what the set list is or anything like that, you might want to skip this live stream, or if you're watching it on a replay, you might want to skip watching it. Did I go to all 3 dates? I only went to day 1. My original goal back when ticket buying was happening was that I wanted to go. At that time it was both days because they hadn't added the 3rd day yet, but ticket buying for day 2 was so horrendous that I was just like, yep, nope, can't get anything. But I got the first day and was very happy about that. And then I was fortunate enough later in that ticket buying day to also get Arlington, Texas, and I have floor seats for Arlington, Texas. So I'm very excited and very much looking forward to that. So there will be another concert related live stream in August where I tell you about that experience, because I know that'll be a very, very different experience. But did you enjoy yourself in Tampa as well, Sonia? I had a great time. It was a blast. You were day 2. I hope that some of the issues were worked out, because day 1 was a little bit crazy and chaotic with like trying to get into the venue. And I hope maybe by day 2 it was maybe a little bit better. One of my coworkers, her daughter and her niece went to day 3. So that was Tuesday. So I haven't worked with her again yet, but I'm excited to hear what her family's experience was. Oh, Lindsay, you went to day 3 Tampa. Yes, I'm so glad. Oh, I'm so glad you enjoyed it too, Sonia. Yeah, it was so much fun. And I would love to hear what you thought of your experience there, and any thoughts that you had. Like, please feel free to contribute and add to my thoughts, because I'll be giving like tips and things. Because I know that for some of us in the community, some of you all are just you're like, I didn't get a chance to get tickets, or that's not really the vibe. I can't do crowds, anything like that. So I know some of you are just kind of here for the sharing the experience with us. And I know some of you are going to your own concert dates later. I know for a lot of my regular viewers, kind of because we've talked about it before, I know when you guys are going. But for those of you who are maybe a little bit newer to the stream or anything like that, or again, listening to this later, let me know if you were, if you have other dates that you're going to, or if you have, because then I'll be aware and I'll look out for it when your dates come. Yeah, I saw both Jimin and JK. It's interesting because JK specifically, I guess, was apologizing for sound issues during our surprise song, which I did not hear at the time. There was issues during the first of our surprise songs in which they cut the music off, which is crazy. I don't know how or why that happened, but... So anyway, So my experiences, again, those of you who are regulars here probably know this, but my tour experiences with BTS so far have been as follows. So I'm certainly not a tour expert by any stretch of the imagination, but I went to Permission to Dance in LA day 1. I went to both days in Dallas for Jin's tour, the Run Jin episode tour, and then Tampa day 1 in Arirang. So I'm not a concert veteran by any stretch of the imagination, but I do have, some experience, and if you'd like to ask me any questions, or if you, have anything you'd like to ask, please feel free. I would be happy to answer any questions that you have, especially as we go through today. And for those of you who are going to your own concerts, if you have any questions, I know it's going to be very different from venue to venue, of course, but if there's anything that I can add or help you with, I would be very happy to do so. And if you did watch my live stream that I did after Jin's concert, you'll know that it was a very, chill live stream that I did, where I just sort of like shared my experiences and we just discussed some stuff. So it's like nothing super concrete today. It's more just going to be like a fun conversation, and sharing experiences, sharing tips. So, very casual today. Just a fun way to get back into things after a while not having streamed. So first things first, and this is going to be the first of the quote-unquote spoilers, some photos. So I went with my family, as most of you probably know, so I went with both of my parents, and little did I know that while I was, busy absorbed jumping up and down and screaming and cheering, that my dad was busy taking some of the best photos I've ever seen. These are all photos from the screens. So we were sitting in the 200 section in kind of, let me see actually, this is my photo from where we were sitting before the concert started. So you can kind of get an idea of where we were in relation to kind of that 360 stage. We were looking like directly down one of the thrust stages, but we were a little high up. So it was like a little bit, not like super high, but it was a little bit higher. So it was kind of difficult to see the boys super clearly, but we did have a good view of one of the screens. So all of these pictures that my dad took were pictures of the screens, and they're amazing. And I'm so floored that he took such awesome pictures while I was busy jumping up and down like a wild child. So my mom also has some pretty good pictures, but I haven't gotten those from her yet. Oh yes, that's great. It's so awesome when that happens, because I mean, we were speculating about like where we were gonna get certain tour stops and things like that, but to find out they're gonna be like in your city or your state, like, Sonia, I know, right? I love that one, and it reminds me of all of the times in Jin's concerts where he would do the astronaut lying down on his back, and he'd sing those beautiful high notes in the astronaut while like fully lying down, and it was like such a cool experience to see that. And so then to see him just kind of like lying down, like arms out on the middle of the stage, just taking it all in, and feeling the emotion, like such a beautiful picture. And like it was so funny because my dad leaned over and he's like, why is he lying down? And I'm like, it's a thing he does. I know. I thought the same thing when I saw him. Like, these are like some actual legit fan cam Weverse quality pictures. Like, I was shocked at how his phone takes incredible pictures, and I was so shocked at how he was able to get such beautiful, stable pictures. Not only taking a picture, like a zoomed in picture of the screen, but like a lot of these pictures were while they were moving, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. Like, so my dad, number one photographer. And my dad had a great time. Of course I knew my mom would have a great time because she's, my other like primary army in my life. She went with me to the Run Jin concert. And she didn't get a chance to go with me when I went to Permission to Dance in LA. And it was like a big regret of hers that she didn't get to go with me and see them. So as crazy as it is, it's like this was her first OT7 concert, and like that was like a surprise. Like I kept forgetting during the weekend. I'm like, oh, that's right, this is your first OT7 concert, But she had a wonderful time. My dad had a great time, So that was really like, that was nice and rewarding for me. You don't want to say to your relatives, oh, you should come with me to a BTS concert, it'll be fun, and then have them not have a good time, So I was really glad that he had just a wonderful time, and it was a really great experience for all three of us. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, he was really blown away. It was so funny. After we got back to our hotel that night, my mom said to him, because he's like, it was incredible, I had such a good time. And my mom said to him, what was your favorite part of it? And he's like, I think it was really cool just seeing all of BTS together like that. And I'm like, that was an army response if ever there was one. I love it. Metaloop, did I feel the concert vibe was different this time around? Yes, I do feel that it was different. And I think part of that, like, I think the 360 stage design is really cool, and I like some of the things that they do with it, but I do feel like on some level that stage design, and also part of this probably was because of where I was seated for Tampa. I'm very curious to see, like, what Arlington will be like, because I'll be, down on the floor, but there definitely felt like there was, like, a layer of being removed from them because of the way the stage was set up, and they kind of always felt so far away. And I don't necessarily think that's like a good or a bad thing necessarily. It's just kind of, the way it happened to be for this particular concert, and it created a lot of very impactful stage, moments, and that were really, really cool. But, it did sometimes feel like they were really far away from us. And I think they kind of felt it too, because it really seemed like they wanted to continually connect with us, like especially during their encore. It really seemed like they wanted to get close and have that togetherness. So the stage does keep them a little bit further away. I do agree, don't feed the bears. I do think with how long this tour is, I do think that they have to make that adjustment. It does, and I mean, they kind of did something similar in PTTLA, because PTTLA was kind of like, a compilation concert, for lack of a better term, of just like a whole bunch of different songs. So there was dancing, of course, but not as much dancing, because some of it was just, hey, this is a fun song and we're just vibing, which, we got a lot of in this concert. And we got some choreography, which was really cool. But yeah, for a concert of this length, I do think that freestyling is probably the way to go, especially because there's no solo songs. In previous concerts, the solo songs could kind of be a respite, a way for them to regain their energy, because if they're not the one on stage, or they're performing but they're not dancing super hard, it was definitely like a reset, and we don't have anything like that in this concert. So yeah, always love that. I will be completely honest with you. I ended this concert crying, because it had, as the boys were leaving, Tae shouted, "We love you, we purple you," and I'm just like, man, it's felt like a long time since I've got to hear BTS say "I purple you," and yeah, I was emotional. And so yeah, I really got the sense throughout this concert that it's like they wanted to continually get closer to us and connect with us, and talk to us, and that was really, really special. I feel like that vibe is very much present during their sound checks as well. You really get the sense that they are excited to see ARMY and be in the same stadium as ARMY again. It's really endearing. I actually did not go to soundcheck, but I did see a lot of people's like clips and videos coming out of soundcheck. And there were a lot of fun antics and things that I saw, especially on the subsequent days. I feel like maybe they were a little bit nervous day one, understandably so. And J-Hope even mentioned that in his speech at the end of day one, that he felt nervous about coming to the States. But I feel like they definitely, kind of as the night went on, and then as they went to their other 2 days in Tampa, I think they felt better and more confident, more excited. And so then everybody's clips coming out of sound check were just like of the boys being silly and having fun, and so much energy, and that was really nice to see. And I think it created a really nice atmosphere as well for for them, for ARMY. It just felt very personal and sweet, which is my favorite part about any BTS concert. That's a good question, Don't Feed the Bears. I think, now, and if anybody can correct me if I'm wrong, I think that when you get soundcheck tickets, it's like a VIP ticket. I'm not sure. Are they automatically like floor seat tickets? I've always made that assumption that if you get sound check, you're automatically a floor seat ticket, but I don't know, because like I know when you go in to do ticket buying, there's like a whole, it's like VIP, is like the the way it's branded. And pretty much any time that I've gone to buy BTS tickets, by the time that I get into do my buying, those tickets are long gone. So I've never even had a chance to really like look at them, at least not through the actual legitimate sites like Ticketmaster and things like that. People will buy those and then put them up on the secondary market for thousands of dollars, of course. But I've never had a chance to actually like see them on the legit sites. They've always been gone by the time I get in. So Metaloop is asking, how do I feel about the songs now? Have I changed my opinion? So, the answer is that I pretty much feel the same way I felt previously about the album as a whole, but my opinion on some of the individual songs has changed. Now, for some songs, that's a good thing, and for some songs, that's a not good thing. There are some songs that I was previously like, yeah, I don't mind this song, that I actually do not like the songs now. And there are some songs that I was kind of like, in middle of the road, whatever, don't really have any strong feelings about this song, that I actually like now. Some of that, like, for instance, I know when we previously talked about Arirang, I was like, oh yeah, I like Into the Sun, but now I really like Into the Sun, and that's because of the concert. And my dad really likes Into the Sun, so that makes me feel fond of it too. I definitely enjoyed hearing Into the Sun performed. It's beautiful when it's performed, absolutely stunning. There are other songs on the album that I maybe felt meh about at the time that I first heard the album, that as I've sort of sat with them more, I've come to get more fond of them. This might surprise a lot of you. Some of you might not like my opinion on this, but 2.0, I actually have come to really like that song. And I remember upon like my first listen of the album, I was kind of like, whatever. But actually that 2.0 is now one of my favorite songs off of that album. I'm a big fan of that one. But then, like I said, some other songs have kind of gone down in my estimation, and then other songs have pretty much stayed exactly the same. So not a huge change overall, but I enjoyed hearing everything performed, like it was still really fun to hear them performed, even if I was kind of mad about them. Sonia asked, did my bias change after the concert? So no, because I always say that my dual bias is Jin and June, and I'm still right there with that feeling. But I mean, everybody was incredible. Everybody was so on top of their game, and that old army saying of everybody is your bias wreckers, is so accurate. Hitchhiker Hobbit, yeah, I honestly think that's going to be a fact. Slight spoiler as well in terms of talking about set list. But during their encore, the first song that they perform when they come back for their encore is Come Over, which some of you might know is like a song that they included as a hidden track because it was cut off of the main album. And I have to say, whoever made the decision to cut Come Over off of the main album, what a choice. Like, jail for 1,000 years, 50 lashes with the wet noodle, like whatever punishment you want to give, because what a terrible decision. Like, what a flop decision, because that song is fantastic. And hearing it performed is just next level. Like, it's so good live. So my photos, I have a few as well. My photos aren't nearly as nice as my dad's photos because my dad was absolutely taking masterclass level photos, and I took more videos than I did photos. And I kind of was holding my phone down because I love, I'm there jumping, I'm shaking my army bomb. I'm not taking like beautiful, stable quality videos by any stretch of the imagination, especially because I know for this concert, BTS really wanted us to be like jumping and singing and doing more of that stuff than being on our phones. So I had my phone pretty low, shaking my army bomb. So all of my videos are like total garbage because they're all so shaky and just ridiculous. But, so I don't have as much to share from me, but here are a couple of fun pictures. One of my favorite elements of the Tampa concert, maybe those of you who were also at Tampa feel this way, was there was a blimp going by the stadium that had like little different BTS like inside jokes and sayings and things playing on it. It had the BTS symbol, it had the Arirang symbol. On my day, it had Do You Know BTS and Party Party Yeah, and I know on other days it had some other like inside army jokes, and it was so fun because like the blimp would go by while we were all waiting to go into the stadium and everybody would cheer. It was such a fun little touch that I've never experienced at any other concert before, so I of course had to include some pictures of the blimp. I love it. Honestly, yeah, T-style, that's completely valid. I Jimin rocking the long hair and just like really I think he's really feeling it on the stage, and I can tell he's happy to be back, and it's such a joy to watch him. I've seen like some really good fan cams and things of him, and just he's absolutely feeling it. I love it. Sonia, right? I know Yoongi is a genius, and it makes me so sad that that song was cut, because I know how much it meant to him and that he was really proud of it. So, but yeah, it's great in concert. I love it. Hi there, Sheetal. Thank you for being here. We're just talking about some concert stuff. So, if you're as long as you're okay with concert spoilers, we're just having a fun chat, catching up, and talking about some concert tips and stories and things. So. And yes, don't feed the bears. I'm just reading back in the chat. Yeah, your husband is correct. Yoongi's a genius. So, Metaloop. Curious about age distribution. That's a really good question. The age was I mean, I always say this about like every BTS concert or event I've been to about the age being diverse, but I think it was a really good age distribution. I mean, I saw little kids up to, I saw things posted online that there was a woman there who was celebrating like her 92nd birthday or something. So like that, it sounds so goofy to say it looks like you're going from 5 to 105 when you look at a BTS concert, but it's kind of true. Like, I mean, I would say the majority of people, I'm 30 years old. I would say the majority of people that I saw were probably around my age, but it was super, super diverse. I was definitely seeing a lot of people who were older than I was. I was seeing a very good distribution in terms of gender. It was a very diverse crowd. A lot of adults there, you know, a lot of people who were in their 40s, 50s, 60s, you know, like my parents definitely were not out of place, you know, like I don't know if my dad felt like he was going to be out of place at this concert, but he absolutely was not. There were, you know, plenty of men, older women, like it was a really diverse group. Hitchhiker Hobbit, he did not have the ponytail my day. I feel like he had the ponytail day 2 or day 3, but my day he was just like in the straight, just like the long straight hair. But yeah, I feel he does kind of give anime character energy, right? I feel like he's enjoying having the long hair post-military, and I don't blame him at all. I feel like the extensions were like, they almost seemed, maybe because his hair is a little bit longer now, I feel like they blended a little bit more into his natural hair than maybe they did in like the Netflix comeback, you know, or maybe they just kind of like he was able to fluff them up a little bit more, but they seemed like they almost looked like really natural in this one, in this concert. I think Jimin's hair is so cute, like in the Run BTS episodes that we're getting. Like I think it's really cute that way. I don't technically think he needs the extensions, you know, because he looks adorable already, so as it is, with just like the regular blonde hair that he has going on. But you know, like I said, I'm sure he probably likes having longer hair post-military, and for that reason I'm like, absolutely, go for it, sir. And then if you're on my Discord server, you probably, I think I shared the venue photo that's a little bit, when the sky was a little bit more blue rather than a little bit more sunset. So these are just my pictures of the venue that I also cut to briefly earlier when I was showing you kind of the view from our seats. So that was the view from where we were sitting in the 200 section. I think we were like 220 or something like that. We were on like the end of that row, which was nice. I'm a big fan of being on the end of the rows. So it was kind of, the stadium was set up kind of interesting, because where we were, that section, for the 200s, had a lot of, that's where like a lot of the concession stands were and things like that. So we could actually go just like right down the stairs and like get water, or the restrooms are right there and things like that. So it was kind of an interesting setup, not really pictured in my images here. It was kind of like over my left shoulder from where I was sitting, to just, if you went down and it was right there. So kind of a really cool stadium setup. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers play there. So any of you watching concert clips or anything, or like looking at my pictures now, you can probably see that they have a pirate ship in the side of the stadium there, which I think during a football game would just be their end zone. And so yeah, that was kind of fun. Have a pirate ship there the whole concert. It was really fun. And it's really funny watching like any sound check clips and stuff of seeing the boys do their sound check while there's a pirate ship in the background. I love it. Very, very swim coated. So I will say too, and I'll go over this more like when I get to the tips, the tips I want to give you all. But some of you may have heard this, but Tampa day one, getting into the stadium was quite an experience. And so I don't really quite know what the problem was, to be honest with you. I think based on what happened when we got to the front of the line is I think there was a bit of a bottleneck because there were the metal detectors to go through and the ticketing booth, where you would scan your tickets, and they were almost right on top of each other. And I think people were getting bottlenecked both at the metal detector and then at the ticketing little like booths where you would scan your phone. And so it caused these massive backups all the way down the line. And so for me, trying to get in took a really long time. My line was like stretched around the block. So some of that was like an extra stressor and things like that. And, I was worried we weren't going to get in time. So some of my pre-concert experience is a little bit chaotic because of that. But luckily it didn't, affect like my actual ability to enjoy the concert or anything. But, as we move through this conversation, there is some stuff that I kind of missed out on or felt a little bit rushed or stressed on because I had that stressor of getting into the concert. So something to keep in mind for the rest of you as well. I'm sure your concerts will be more organized, but just in case, something to keep in mind. And hello to you who just joined. I'm so glad to have you here. Just talking about my concert experiences in Tampa. So if you want to hear about the concerts and hear some stories, you can hang out with us and please feel free to ask any questions you might have about anything. I'm so glad to have you here. So, talking about the issues that I had getting into the venue, these are my freebies. I didn't get a lot of freebies this time because I was fighting for my life outside in the heat and getting really stressed about not being able to get in. So I wasn't like as casual as I was. Like my haul after the Run Jin concert of freebies was enormous. Plus that was a 2-day haul. This is only a 1-day haul. I'm sure I'll have more after Arlington. But yeah, I was not like, the kind of when you do the freebies, it's like a relaxed, fun atmosphere, and I was like very stressed, so I wasn't interacting with as many people. But the freebies that I got were really beautiful. The top 2 freebies, so the heart and the towel, those were the events. So the hearts were the event day 1. The towel was actually for the event day 2. So on day 2, before we left Tampa, my parents and I actually went back over to the venue just to kind of hang out a little bit and see what there was to be seen. And they gave us the towel. So that was for their event day 2. And it's beautifully made. It's got Apo Bangpo on it. So it's really, really cool. And then I got like some, beautifully made photo cards. And I love the ones that people made that looked like tickets, as if you were getting like an actual ticket for the event. Those were so cool. And then the little purple bag I actually got day 2 as well when we went over to see what was what at the venue, and my picture doesn't show it really well, but the people who made these, they took these hair clips and put like in beads they put like the name of each member and like cute little flowers, so like when you would go up to them they'd be like, who's your bias, and they'd give you whoever you said your bias was, along with a sticker. So I got a beautiful Jin hair clip and sticker, and the hair clip is so nice. I don't think that I'd be able to use it. It's just so lovely. But, and like, you can see how like beautiful quality photo cards and everything, once again, Army going above and beyond with the freebies. I think because of the way when we had to line up to get in, everybody in my line was like around the block basically. So we had to like cross the street from our gate and line up around the block. So we were kind of literally standing by some bushes just waiting for the line to move. And so I think that was part of why I didn't get to interact as much with people, because I wasn't like at the main section where all of the action was happening. I was around the block waiting in line. I know I also, part of why I got so many freebies at the Run Jin concert as well was because we were waiting right by the stadium. People were of course giving out their freebies right there. I'm sorry, the arena for Jin. And so it was really easy to get freebies that way. But they also, the people who had made the signs to hold up for those days asked me to help pass them out. So I got to interact with a lot more people that way, because I was passing out these signs on the fan project's behalf, and people were giving me freebies in return. So, so definitely check back with me after Arlington. I'm sure I'll have a lot more freebies that time. Yeah, T-Style, I was thinking about doing freebies for Tampa, but I just had no ideas. Like, I did not know what to do. I lacked a lot of that arts and crafts skill, but it's still like a really cool idea I'd love to be a part of. So, maybe I'll come up with something before Arlington and I can stuff it all in a suitcase. Yeah, I love it. It's such a fun concept. And it's so cute because my dad was, because people were definitely including my dad and stuff too, which was very sweet. Like, but he was, at one point he looked at me and he's like, are people like selling these? Are these like free samples of things they sell? I'm like, no, this is like Army concert tradition. We give out freebies to each other. It's just a fun thing that we do because it's just a fun community thing, so I love that newer armies or people who were like there to support the Army in their life got to experience the freebie energy as well. It was very funny. A couple people in front of us in line, they got a photo card and it was like a man and a woman, and so they gave it to both of them, and the man was like, oh, thank you so much, and then he immediately turned to the woman and he's like, so who is this, and points to the card, and I'm just like, it was so pure. So before I get into tips and things, which I have a lot of tips for you all, but before I get into that, I do want to talk about the surprise songs that we got in Tampa. So, because I just think it's kind of funny. We have some funny stories associated with that. But, so the surprise songs in Tampa were Tampa Day 1, which was my day, was Permission to Dance and Magic Shop. Magic Shop was an amazing experience. Getting to do So Show Me, I'll Show You was incredible. I never thought I'd be able to do that. And I think the boys were really touched by it. Tampa Day 2 was Boy with Love and Pied Piper. And Tampa Day 3 was Life Goes On and Bop Say, which was also just being able to like see people's fan clips and stuff from that was also really fun. But I have to laugh because there was kind of, Pied Piper almost became a running joke. Like, people were already asking for Pied Piper on the day of my concert, and when the boys saw that, they were confused, literally to the point where Namjoon said, Pied Piper, why is this song so popular? And I just had to share with you guys because I think this is both so hilarious and so flattering, but my Pied Piper video has had over 600 views in a week, ostensibly because people are searching for Pied Piper performed in the concert and are finding and watching my video, which, like I said, is super, super flattering. Like, if any of you watching this live stream came here because you watched my Pied Piper video or you found me because of the Pied Piper video, thank you so much. Like, I'm floored. Like, the fact that this has gotten over 600 views in a week is crazy to me, and it's so, so funny when I consider how confused the boys were about Pied Piper's popularity. Thank you. Yeah, I'm so honored. So I really hope that, like, That Pied Piper video is up to almost 10,000 views, which is insane, and I'm so happy about it, like, because I'm really proud of that video, and I really enjoyed talking about Pied Piper and making that video, so it's definitely a favorite of mine out of the work that I've done, and it cracks me up that the boys were so surprised by Pied Piper, and then Pied Piper, you will always be famous. So Metaloop asked, do I think that their overall concept of Arirang is shining through, or is it a bit messy? I don't know if I'm the best person to ask that question for, but I do think a lot of the meaning behind Arirang is very present in, even if, like, you know, because I think when the songs are playing, we're all just getting so hyped, you know, that it's just kind of like it's turning into this big, you know, hype train of just everybody getting so excited. And some of the songs are sort of blending together in that sense of just like, because we're all just so excited. But everything that they're doing, even outside of the songs, I think is really, where are my venue photos? So you can't really tell in like the photos that I have of the screen up here, but everything that's going on the screens during the pre-concert, it's very traditional Korean music. It's very like traditional Korean art and text. So you absolutely are getting enmeshed in that very, very Korean vibe. Body to body, doing like body to body in concert is really cool. Being able to sing the Arirang is really cool. Like I said, if you saw on Discord, if you're part of my Discord server, I don't know if this was a stadium thing or just like a from where I was seated type of thing, because sometimes those stadiums can be very echoey, and if you're up higher, it's even worse. It was kind of hard to really grasp the full scope of the stadium singing Arirang, especially because the Arirang part, you know, they're playing that as like a backtrack and it's really loud. So it's kind of hard to discern like the individual like voices of ARMY singing it, but I have seen other fan cams where it sounds like there were a lot of people singing it, you know, and so that was very cool. And you know, I hope the boys really, you know, were happy with our efforts and appreciated our efforts. So, you know, I know some armies were giving out freebies with the lyrics printed on them. I actually printed the lyrics out, so I had them just so I could be like 100% sure that my pronunciation was good, you know. So that was a really fun element, was like practicing the Arirang, knowing we were going to sing that, and that was a fun element. I think that really lent itself nicely to the "Our Roots Are Korea" concept that they really seem to want to emphasize in this concert tour and in the album. Yeah, Tista, I definitely agree. Because I saw like people holding signs for Pied Piper day one, and it's funny. I'd actually even seen people talking about it on the internet even before the concerts, that like people wanted to request Pied Piper. So like that was already something that people were thinking going into it. But yeah, it was very cool that like they saw and realized how much we wanted Pied Piper. That quote of Namjoon going, "Pied Piper, why is this song so popular?" is actually from day one, and then they did it day two. And then I know when they did their live broadcast after Tampa day 3, Yoongi was making fun of the crowd for how excited they were for Pied Piper. And I'm just like, listen, sir, we do not need your judgment. Exactly, Sonia. It's just like Pied Piper just is almost like legendary in its own sense. I think we all think of like those muster performances, and you know, it's such a fun song, and it has like a fun dance and a fun vibe, and it's just like, yeah, of course. I think, you know, it's totally natural that ARMY wanted to hear that. And I think the surprise song concept is so much fun. And I love it, even though I got my heart broken yesterday by the songs that they did in El Paso. I don't want to talk about it. I'm totally kidding. I still love the surprise song concept. I think it's so much fun. It's such a cute thing to do. It's such a cute way to get the crowd hyped. Yeah, this how they call us out. Yeah, Yoongi was doing like impressions of ARMY screaming and saying ARMY was fainting because they were so excited. I'm like, sir, sorry, this snarkiness. Yeah, Lindsay, I'm glad you know what I'm talking about. It was, you know, it's any concert like that is an interesting experience, especially when it's in that big of a stadium, because it can be difficult to like fully engage, or like it's something that I remember happening in PTDLA as well, where I remember people being like, why didn't the crowd fan chant? And I'm like, I think the crowd did fan chant and you just couldn't hear it, like, because that was very much a thing at PTDLA too, in SoFi Stadium, where like the way SoFi Stadium was built, it was so hard to hear, when a fan chant was happening or things like that. It was a little bit easier to hear fan chants in Raymond James Stadium, because like we did the fan chant before my drop, so like I could hear people doing that very clearly. But some of the other like fan chants, and even some of the projects, like those purple hearts that I showed you, were supposed to be held up during their speeches, and it was so hard to be able to even like see if other people were holding them up. Like it was just, sometimes the stadiums make it really difficult to get a feeling for what's going on. And especially nowadays, because a lot of these are just fan organized projects. They're not like specifically organized through Big Hit or Hybe. So there's no, like back in the day, they used to say Army Time up on the screen, and then that would be your signal to hold up like a sign that was already printed out and left for you on your chair, and they don't do that nowadays. So everything is just relies on fan word of mouth and fan effort to not only make the things, but distribute them and let people know when to do them. So, it's a lot harder, I think, in some of these modern day concerts to get some of those fan events going. And I'm always very impressed when people actually, make them happen. It requires so much work and dedication. I know there was also a fan event to hold up Little Suns during Into the Sun, which again, I'm not even sure if that happened. Although in my defense, I was also crying for most of that song. So I might have just not been able to see. Yeah, exactly. Don't feed the bears. It's like the larger the venues and the larger the concerts, it's like it's kind of harder to really have some of those more like intimate concert moments that, maybe Army enjoyed back in the day a little bit more. And it's kind of impossible to do some of the same events, or to have some of the same oversight for those events the way we maybe did back in the day. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just a different thing. Some of it changes a bit. And I will say I do get the sense that there was a lot more of the general public at this concert. People who wanted to come and see and get an idea of what BTS was all about, or people who were coming with the Army in their life to support them, and or were just curious and things like that. And so that's part of the ongoing kind of evolution as well. And in some senses, and we'll get to that when I talk about my tips, in some senses that can be not the best thing, because I think sometimes newer people don't know Army concert etiquette and things like that, so it can be a bit of an issue sometimes. But other times, I think it's a great thing. Like, look, my dad went into that concert knowing BTS, liking some of their songs, liking what they stood for, and appreciating them because I love them. But, then he came out also really loving their work and being impressed by their work just on his own. So, it does have that benefit too. Yeah, Lindsay. I got that impression too, and that's something that I've honestly noticed for a few years, where just like sometimes, and it's always so sad because the fan projects, people put their own time and money and everything into those, so it's always really sad to me when a fan project doesn't get off the ground, if it's something that involves like a physical, thing that you hand out. I know there are some other like fan chant projects and things that it can be really hard for some of those to get traction because none of them are officially sanctioned, so it's unfortunate. So Metaloop is asking about moving away from traditional K-pop things. So that's a bit of an interesting question for me, because for me, I've only ever listened to BTS. Like, BTS was very much my first introduction to K-pop, and I've never really listened to any other K-pop songs. I've never done, like, I know a little bit about K-pop history through watching things, like Rise of Bangtan and things like that, which was, very much giving us the history so that we could understand a lot of like BTS's context. So I know some of the history, but I'm not really super familiar with other groups and their performances or like what K-pop concerts have historically been like. I do feel in the sense that maybe they're trying to make it more of a general accessible concert experience than specifically a K-pop concert, maybe. But I don't necessarily, I think that could be either a good or a bad thing depending on what direction it takes. I know that's a really wishy-washy answer that doesn't have a lot of substance, but I think in some senses we're in a bit of an in-between state. But yeah, like Don't Feed the Bears said, I'm okay with a concert changing a little bit in terms of like, hey, what is this concert, like 90 stops or something? Like I know it's something insane, and it's just like right away when I saw that, I'm like, they're not going to be able to do intense choreography that whole time. They will absolutely be, dragging by the end of that concert. Like I would never want to see them like do that to the point of overextending themselves, so that's a really interesting question too that I think the boys have to balance of like, do we want to see more army or do we want to do more traditional dancing? Like it's a weird mix. Like they have a lot to balance. Sonia's also asking too about like whether BTS is still K-pop, and I think that kind of has like what my feelings on that are. I think that has a similar question about it, because for me, I don't actually know a lot about K-pop in general. Like to me, BTS, I think, because BTS was trained in the idol system, they always have that, like they have that K-pop DNA, but they've been talking for years about how they feel like they were born as K-pop idols and reborn as artists. That's what like Dionysus is about and things like that. But I'm kind of like, as I was forming that thought, Hitchhiker Hobbit just said like more mainstream can kind of have some issues. Yes, I have heard some stuff about some of the issues going on in El Paso and things like that. So I do think, again, yeah, Metaloop, exactly. It's liminal. It's our liminal space energy. We're in that in-between transitionary space. I love that you all have adopted my liminal space obsession. But, I think that a lot of this concert does represent trying to figure out what direction to go in. I hope that this is my hope just personally for BTS, is that they're able to do concerts that are, authentic to them, authentic to their level of performance, and can still have like the appeal of any other, mainstream artist's concept. But, I still want to see that element of BTS, because there's so much that BTS does that is unique to them and that only they can do and that only their community can accomplish, and I really hope we don't lose that. Yeah, exactly, T-Style. And that's a big thing for me with BTS is like they set the trends. They don't follow the trends. And that's what I want to see. It's like I want to see them always being the ones who are paving the way, who are out in front of it, That's my biggest hope. And, I hope we don't lose certain elements of K-pop concerts, like not being able to use like our light sticks would be like the saddest thing ever, like things like that. I still hope that some of those elements remain for a while. And I think Jin's concert proved this to me. I think this concert proved it as well. You can still have a concert that's full of crazy, intense energy, even if it doesn't have like strict choreography, you know what I mean? Even if it's not every song has the choreography and there's all of this snap and choreography, what they sort of would call like that super precise dance, that razor sharp dance, you can still have crazy energy. I mean, I was jumping up and down and, all of that, even just during their regular, singing and going around the stage and everything. To the point where my legs felt like jelly the next day. So, you can still have that, intense and crazy energy even without the choreography. And I think it's just a matter of striking a balance. That's the thing that I think is the most important, is finding a balance. and how do you honor what you did previously and where you came from. And that's part of why I like the surprise songs concept. It's like, I want to still see those things honored. I still want to see those things understood and like held as important. But I think that's something that needs to be balanced out with just practicality. Yeah, that's a really good concept too. By the way, I love your username, that introvert bookish girl. It sounds like we would be friends. But yeah, I think what you're saying there about moving away from the industrial concept of K-pop is really, really interesting. A Hitchhiker Robin, on Wednesday after the concert, you have a hearing test. Oh my gosh. Well, concert earplugs, maybe? As I mentioned on Discord, the only time that the concert noise actually hurt my ears was when Jin did his hand kiss and people went absolutely insane. And I'm like, you know what? This is so worth getting my ears absolutely rocked. Like, so worth it. I did have concert earplugs in for the beginning because I know when I went to PTDLA and like when the crowd cheered when BTS came out, it was so loud that my ears actually popped. Like when you're on an airplane and your ears pop. So I did have concert earplugs in for the beginning, and then I took one out to get like kind of acclimated, and then I took the other one out, and then I was good. And I had concert earplugs for the rest of my family if they needed them. So I think my dad had his in, which is good because I was right next to him screaming the whole time. So he didn't have to hear me screaming as much. I just got them on Amazon. They were like specifically designed to kind of filter out the crowd noise so that you could still hear the music but not hear the crowd as much. So maybe something to consider. But yeah, moving back to that notion of like the industrial concept of K-pop. That's really interesting because that reminds me of a Reddit thread that I found when I was doing my Spring Day video, when I did the video called Why Spring Day Endures. And I read this Reddit thread about, and it was from like back around the time that Spring Day came out. So, it's not even like it was a more modern idea. It's an idea that's been, kind of kicking around the fandom for probably the past almost decade at this point. But the person who wrote the Reddit thread was a Korean who was saying that they don't view BTS as K-pop, but they do view them as very Korean in their music because they get in touch with a lot of Korean concepts and ideas. And that's, they were talking about like the concept of Han and how that is very prevalent in Spring Day. So I think it's really interesting that idea has been something that fandom has been thinking about for so long. That BTS isn't the traditional quote unquote K-pop, but they are very Korean. Yeah, that's a really good description, Lindsay. Creating something new out of a combination of past and present, which is awesome. And I love that. Yeah, T-Style, just keep them in and then, slowly ease them out. And, I can always share a link, as part of my concert tips. I can always share a link or share it on Discord to the ones that I got on Amazon. They were just, they came in like a little case and they just, kind of like fit very snugly, almost like earbuds. And it was a nice option to have just in case, even if you don't end up needing them, it's a nice thing to have, just in case you need them. If your ears start to hurt, I'm one of those people, and Tampa made me take a very tiny bag, and it was torture because I'm one of those people that is always over prepared. Like, I'm that person in a friend group who has everything that you could possibly need. And so not being able to take certain things in my bag was killing me, but, never a bad thing to have it just in case. All right, so please feel free to keep asking me any questions that you may have or any, things you want my opinions on. But I'm going to jump down to some of my tips, which kind of fits into what we're talking about anyway. So for those of you who saw my live stream after Jin's concert, you might remember that I had some concert tips then. So I'm going to be kind of repeating those. Excuse me. I'm going to be repeating those, and then I'll get into some of my ones that I had after this concert too. So, All right, so these are my tips from Jin's concert that I'm just kind of repeating. So I'll go through these kind of quickly. So, for those of you who had seen that live stream, I'm not repeating myself too much. But if you're staying overnight, I do still recommend staying close to the venue. I stayed close to the venue, so close to the venue at Run Jin that it was insane. It was literally, the venue was like across a very small street from my hotel. It was a minute and a half walk at most, and it was awesome. And I stayed pretty close to the venue at Tampa as well, which was very lucky. It was only like a half an hour walk, which I'll get back to that later. But again, as I said with Run Jin, make sure you have backup power of some kind. For that concert, I got what's called a power bank, which you can just plug your phone into and have your phone charge up, in like maybe an hour and a half, or any other thing, any portable charger, any fuel rod, which are like just like those little kind of cylindrical ones that you plug into your phone. But anything you have, make sure you take your charger, make sure you take the wall adapter for your charger, make sure you have backup power. It's essential. It's 100% essential for not only your concert experience, so you can take pictures and video if you want, but for your safety, so that you still have, all of that for calling rideshare, for calling people in your group if you get separated, just for your own general safety of if you need, an emergency call. Please have backup power. Talking about like some of the higher sections of whatever stadium you might be in, because I know some of y'all have stadiums that have 400 and 500 sections, which they also had in SoFi Stadium for PTDLA. So I know how high that was. I was in the 300 section for SoFi, and looking up at the 400 and 500, I was like, oh my goodness, I don't know how anybody can be up there. So if you're scared of heights, be mindful of that. I was in the 300 section for Jin, and it was a little vertigo inducing. So the crowds at the merch lines, I feel was like a little bit more of an issue at Jin's concert because of the arenas, and like it was a big issue at Dallas that there was a lot of overcrowding. So I was very much emphasizing when I talked about the Run Jin concert about being safe in the merch lines. I don't necessarily know if that's as much of an issue for some of these venues, since a lot of the merch lines are like outdoors and things like that, but still be safe in those merch lines. They can get very crowded. Always read the venue rules. And because different venues have different things that they will let you bring, will not let you bring. Raymond James Stadium in Tampa was really weirdly strict about a lot of things that you could and could not bring. So that's something to consider as well. Just, read those venue rules, email the venue if you have any questions, call them, get on a live chat with them. It's always better to know than not know. Similarly, check how your tickets work. Especially if you bought your tickets resale, there might be some things you have to do. They might have you add your ticket to a virtual wallet, things like that. So it's never a bad idea to just check how your ticket works before you go. And then pack smart, which, like I said, was a bit of an issue at Raymond James, but, I'm so with everybody else who said like it's like your bag is like luggage, or, you have like the max size bag. Me too. I feel ya. Because anything that you might need or want is important to have. And as I said earlier, I am that person in the friend group who always has a full bag of stuff so that anything you might need, I've got it. But sometimes if you're using a smaller bag or anything like that, it can be really annoying to have to sift through all of your stuff. So make sure you also organize your bag so that you're not spending the whole night digging through all of those extra things that you have just in case. Pack smart. I also highly recommend eating before you get to the venue if possible. Like if you're in an area with restaurants, or, the time that you're there is allowing you to eat before you go to the venue, because it is not always super easy to get food at the venue. Sometimes it's really expensive, and sometimes it's really chaotic to try and get in those food lines, especially like in my situation with getting into the concert literally like half an hour before it started. I mean, I was like, once I was in my seat, I'm like, I'm not getting up. Like, I'm sitting here, I'm waiting for a concert to start. I'm not about to try and get food. My dad was luckily very nice and went and got us water and a soft pretzel that we all shared. Actually, that my mom and I shared because my dad doesn't eat sodium. But otherwise, I was like, I can't, no. So eat if you can. And if you're in an area that has like, if the town that you're in or the area that you're in is getting involved in the fun of a BTS concert, take advantage of it. It's great. It's one of the most fun things is having everybody be in on it. And like one of the things I loved both in Jin's tour and in this one was like when you roll up to your hotel and, you know, in both instances, the people at the hotel were getting in on it too. The hotel that I stayed in Tampa, like the woman who was at the front desk was like decked out in BTS merch. You know, it was so fun. Yes, don't feed the bears. That's also a very good point. We have heard instances, especially in El Paso, of hotels and Airbnbs. Airbnbs were a big problem in Tampa as well, of those things just getting canceled on people. So, you know, make sure that you are like 100% sure that you know what's going on with your hotel, and have a backup plan, or, you know, definitely make sure that you're like calling and getting confirmation and things like that. I'm hoping that maybe other stops on the tour will see what's going on in El Paso and will take steps to make sure that that can't happen at, you know, other hotels and things here, because there's been a lot of price gouging. And yes, for all of you in the chat mentioning like power banks, making sure they're charged, all of that, I highly recommend them. They're great. It is something to consider if you have to fly to your concert destination, that they are something that like you need. And at least, I don't know for you all in Europe, I don't know what like your sort of rules and regulations are when you fly. Here in the United States, I know that these are something that need to come out and go in the bin when you go through security, you know, in an airport, just because of the batteries. So something to consider, you know, just be mindful. Same thing like with our army bombs, which the TSA here in the United States always is playfully like, when you put this in the bin, please refer to it as a light stick. So it's like, you know, anything that has like a certain type of battery or a certain type of, you know, thing like that needs to go in a bin here in America when you go through security. So just be mindful of that if you have to fly anywhere. Yes, I love that description. Don't feed the bears. You know, unfortunately, the unfortunate truth is people are going to be very greedy. And we see that spring up a lot in concerts of, you know, people are always looking to make a quick buck. But, you know, you can be prepared at the very least. That is something that I think also applies to rides, getting rides and things after the concert or to and from the concert. Ride share can be really dicey. Taxis can be really dicey. So, you know, just make sure you're ready for all of that. It can be an unexpected expense. It can be an unexpected struggle, you know, so it's definitely something to keep in mind. So this is tips part 2. So these are the tips that I specifically thought about after this concert. And some of it is overlap, you know, with kind of the other tips. So I think kind of going back to what we said earlier about some of what's going on in some of the other stops. We have a lot of new people in the fandom. We have a lot of people who don't really know much about BTS who are curious. And they don't really know some of the essential etiquette of our fandom. Now, obviously, I don't mean this in the way of stop random people on the street and tell them how to behave, because that is not a good idea. But just if you know anybody who maybe is newer or who is going to a concert and doesn't really know, and you do feel like you can remind them, or if maybe you yourself are a newer ARMY and just nobody has ever told you this, I think there's a lot of important ARMY etiquette to remember that is being forgotten a bit. Things like if you see the boys out, you know, don't approach them, you know, don't stand outside where they're staying or things like that. There's definitely been some, you know, instances of that. And then there's even just been some instances of like more basic kind of ARMY concert etiquette, the things that we pride ourselves on, like making sure the venue is clean. Like I know some things were like articles of trash and things like that were being left behind at Raymond James, and some other ARMYs were like, we don't do this, you know? So I think the important thing for ARMY who maybe this is their first BTS concert, they've never really gotten to do this, I think it's really important to remember and you feel it when you're at the concert, is we are not just there to see BTS, we are there to be part of what BTS is doing. And we are kind of like their forward facing personalities to all of these people. I was actually reading some beautiful stuff of like some of the businesses and things in Tampa. Like for instance, one of the local spots where people bought parking wrote like this big thing on their social media, like this absolutely beautiful message talking about just like how every interaction with ARMY was so great, and how like ARMY's positivity reflects so well on BTS, and how like the way ARMY comports themselves inspired the people who own the parking establishment to like look into BTS more, and like how impressed they were by like BTS's kindness and generosity. I'm like, y'all are making me cry. Like that is so beautiful, and that's what we strive for as ARMY, is to show other people like who we are, who BTS is, that we are, a unique fandom, we're a special fandom. And by just being kind, and being helpful. And I even saw, talking about the issues in El Paso with the hotel reservations being canceled on people. I saw a news report, from like whatever the local El Paso news would have been. I saw it on YouTube, of ARMYs who and they were like an older couple. When I say older, I mean like, a more adult ARMY than like my age, a little bit older than me, talking about how they were inspired to open up their guest room in their house for free to an ARMY that they knew that was coming in from out of town. And they said, they were like, this is what BTS would do. So this is what BTS is and what they mean. So like, I'm doing it too. And I'm just like, I'm literally going to start bawling. Like, it's so beautiful. And it's just like, that's what I believe the power of purple is, that energy and that, kindness. And when you do that and you act that way and you think to yourself that you are, representing BTS and other ARMY, it inspires you to be better, and people notice that. Like, so I definitely think that's an important thing, that like, if you're a newer ARMY and you haven't experienced that before, yeah, get on top of it with us. Like, it's such a fun thing to be. It's so fun to belong to BTS, when you are at a concert. Yeah, that's a really good description, T-Style. Like, you're holding yourself to a higher standard. You're like, I am ARMY. I am identifying myself as ARMY, and I want to be better. Like it inspires you to just want to be the best version of yourself. And it's something that I was telling my parents that I also felt during PTDLA, where you kind of feel like you step into another world and you're like, I belong to BTS. I am BTS's ARMY, and I want to show the world that means something special, and like, that sounds really cheesy and, probably a little over dramatic, but it's true. Like, you really do kind of get that sense of like, I am BTS's ARMY. Here I am. I'm going to be good. I'm going to be pleasant. I'm going to, I'm going to be what they would want me to be. And again, that sounds so dramatic, but it kind of, you really do feel that when you're in that situation and when you're with fellow ARMY. So yeah, it's that would be my big thing. It's like having that ARMY etiquette. It's kind of just part of the experience, and it makes you feel kind of good. Moving into some of the more practical tips. The biggest practical tip that I can give you all is hydrate. Hydrate. I know, especially for those of you who have concerts coming up in the summer, I know last year that like the whole world was practically in a heat wave for most of summer. So like even Europe was really hot, and other regions of the country. Please hydrate. I cannot emphasize that enough. I made a really stupid rookie mistake because of that dang tiny bag. And I knew I couldn't take like my refillable water bottle with me. And so when I left my hotel, I was expecting to get into the venue way faster than I did. And I left without anything to drink. And like, that was the dumbest mistake that I could have made. And luckily there was, and again, talking about people who take advantage of like the concert craziness and do like their entrepreneurial thing. I feel like every concert has somebody standing outside with a cooler of bottled drinks. I had to go over and buy a Gatorade. I was like, and like the crazy thing is like I've definitely been hotter. I live in Florida. So I've definitely been hotter. I've definitely been out in the sun longer and I've been fine. But for some reason, standing outside waiting to get into the concert, I think part of it was because I was so stressed, because I wasn't sure, like the line didn't move for like an hour. So I was stressing out. But I got so dehydrated so fast. And then like when we got into the stadium, my dad, when he got us snacks, he bought have you seen like those big liter bottles of Smart Water? I drank the whole thing in the course of the concert. So it is the unfortunate downside of hydration is that you may have to leave to use the restroom, which I know feels like a sin to leave a BTS concert during a song. I had to make the sacrifice and leave during the song Please so I could come back in time for Into the Sun, but like you gotta hydrate. Like you must. The only reason why you should be passing out at a BTS concert is because like when Yoongi was making fun of us for being really excited about Pied Piper and saying that we were fainting and swooning, that should be the only reason that you're passing out at a BTS concert, not because you didn't hydrate. So please, whatever you need to do to hydrate, anticipate being outside at the venue and it being hot and sunny and all of that. So definitely make sure you stay hydrated. And that also kind of leads me to my next point of dressing for the weather. Now, I saw a lot of people at the Tampa concert who were really embracing, I think like they wanted to embrace BTS's leather look that they're at the beginning of the concert, like when they're doing Hooligan and stuff. But when I tell you I saw people like in full leather, I'm just like, are you good? Because it's pretty hot today. So I love it. Slay in your concert outfit, but also dress for the weather. And that means whether it's raining, whether it's hot, for those of you who might be in areas where it gets a little bit colder at night, dress for the weather. You can still serve, but dress for the weather. And to my point, yeah, sell $8 bottles of water. Yeah, for real. You would definitely make your concert money back. You would definitely have a customer in me, that's for sure. So if you don't want to have to spend, I think when I got when I ran across the street and got Gatorade, I think it was only like $5. So it wasn't like the worst thing I've ever bought, but I wouldn't have needed to buy anything if I had actually remembered to take the Gatorade that I brought with me to the hotel, if I'd remembered to take it with me. So yes, learn from my mistakes. Even though I've been to a couple concerts by now, I still make some really dumb basic mistakes sometimes. So learn from me. Use me as your example. But speaking of learning from my example, get to the venue with time to spare is definitely a big one for me. So for Tampa, it was doors open at 5:30. The concert started at 8. So we got to the venue at around 5:30-ish because I was kind of thinking that the lines weren't going to be that intense. I was thinking like, yeah, it should be fine. No, I was wrong. The lines were intense. Luckily we got in with plenty of time to spare, but I know if we had been any later, as in we had been further back in the line, we might have been in trouble. So I'm hoping that your venues, for when the rest of you go, I'm hoping that they don't have as much of an issue with bottlenecks as Tampa did, but it's definitely something to keep in mind that you do want to get there with time to spare. Something else to, oh no, never mind. I have that as a later bullet point, so I'll get to that. But I'll go with my rideshare experiences first. So rideshare for these concerts can be a little bit dicey, like I said earlier. If you have been following me for a while, you probably remember my experience at PTDLA of not being able to find the bus that I had booked, and then how I ended up just taking a random taxi with like 2 other ARMY, and it was like a really fun and unique experience. And for as fun and unique as that experience was, not knowing how I was going to get back to my hotel for a hot minute was not fun, because before that taxi showed up, I was like, am I going to be stuck at SoFi for the rest of the night? So in that instance, there was no rideshare to be had. There was no taxis, no Ubers, no Lyfts, like nothing. And a lot of times for those events, they price gouge incredibly. So you'll also be paying a lot more for your rideshare. The other thing too, that I noticed this more at Jin's concert than I did at this one, but I'm sure these people were still around. At Jin's concert, there were a lot of people holding up signs saying that they were available for Uber and Lyft pickups, which doesn't quite make sense because a lot of times Uber and Lyft is very random. So it's like, how could you pick me up like automatically when Uber just like pings me to the nearest ride? Like, it would be weird. So something to consider is that a lot of that is a little bit fishy. And I've even seen things at airports and stuff, like PSAs that say like, anybody asking you if you need a ride should not be giving you a ride. So that's something to consider. To the best of my knowledge, these are safe, even though I think they're really sketchy because I saw some army taking them and I'm assuming they got where they were going just fine. But at some of these concerts, you're also going to see people who are basically, I don't even know how to describe what they do, but they themselves are on a bicycle and they have like basically like a rickshaw type vibe attached to the back of their bicycle, like these little like seats. And you can pay them to take you to your hotel, which again, I'm assuming it's perfectly safe, but it's not something that I would willingly do. So just be mindful of some of that when you're planning how you get rides to and from. Luckily, where my hotel was in Tampa, it was only, like I said earlier, it was only like a half an hour walk. So a lot of armies were walking that way as well. So it was like very, it didn't make me feel unsafe to walk that way. And it was like a pretty, it's not like it was like a really weird, sketchy part of town. It was like a pretty major road and things like that, people could see you and be visible. So I just walked back to my hotel. But, I know that's not accessible for everybody and everybody might not be staying in a place where they can do that. So just be really mindful with that. Yeah, exactly, T-style. It's like, it could be perfectly fine, but it might not be. And like my parents and I were like, we would never get on one of those. Last year, my parents and I also went to the Coldplay concert, and that was like, the Coldplay concert was great. Coldplay does an amazing show, but like all of the preparation for the concert of like getting to and from was a disaster. Like, and I was really anxious about going into this concert because I was worried that we would have some of the same issues. Like when we saw Coldplay, we took an Uber to the venue, and the guy in the Uber only took us like a certain amount of time to the concert venue. Like, he didn't take us all the way there. He literally said, "This is as far as I can go." And like, we had to get out, and like, we were like, where we got out was all of the guys with the bikes like, "Hey, I can take you the rest of the way." And we're like, no. Like, it was a very unpleasant experience, and I was so worried that the same thing was going to happen with this concert. And luckily, getting to the venue was okay, getting back from the venue was okay. But keep that in mind. Please be safe and be mindful about all of that, and do what you have to do to kind of make, ride share or other things work for you in as safe a way as possible. To that end, I have beef with the company Rally. And I think that, most of you I know are going to the concerts in Europe, and I don't believe Rally is in Europe. I believe Rally is only in the United States. So this probably isn't going to affect most of you, but I'm going to complain for a minute. Just, so Rally is a rideshare bus company where essentially how it works is somebody picks a rally point, a point where they're like, this is where I would like the bus to pick me up. And then other people can join in. So if you say, I want this rally bus to leave from my hotel, I'm going to create it. You have to then see how many people also will agree to join up with you. And you need like a minimum of like 28. So that way it can justify the bus leaving from that location. And if you're almost there, but you're not quite there, the rally bus might link up with some other points, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I booked a rally bus before I got to Tampa because I didn't know how super walkable it would be. And my mom was like, I don't think we're going to want to walk, even if it's like, because it was like a half an hour walk. We could see that on the map. And my mom was like, I don't think we're going to want to do a half an hour walk to get to the venue in the middle of the day in Florida. And I'm like, yeah, that's a good point. So we booked this bus. I was keeping an eye on this bus to make sure that it was like the amount of people that was, necessary for it to go. I was keeping an eye on that. And we hit it. We hit that number of people. And I was like, hooray, that's great. We're going to be able to take this bus. And then like a couple days later, it was canceled. And I was really, really mad, like furious. And so I think what happened now that I've gone and I've seen the area, you know, I've seen the hotel and the venue and everything, is I think people realized that they could walk or take an Uber fairly easily, and so they canceled. Because like Rally was telling me when I was talking to customer service, they're like, well, people must have canceled. And I'm like, what do you mean? This bus was full on Sunday at like 1:00 in the morning, and Tuesday afternoon it's canceled. But I do have a feeling that people realized that they could save a lot of money if they just walked or took an Uber, which we ended up taking an Uber, and it was fine. Luckily, we did not have that Coldplay concert experience of being abandoned somewhere. We had an okay experience, but yeah, I was really mad. I was like really, really irate with this rally bus being canceled, because I also had that experience in PTDLA of trying to take a rally bus back to my hotel and not being able to find it. And I'm like, so this is the second time that I've tried to take a rally bus to a BTS related concert that I have not been able to take this bus. Like, but it all worked out in the end. But I did want to, for any of you who are doing concerts in the States, just keep that in mind. If you're gonna try and do a rally bus, have a backup plan, you know, don't count on it, things like that. So that just kind of gets lumped into that general notion of rideshare craziness, because yeah, that's my story. That's my very sad tale of woe. But it all worked out in the end. So continuing on with tips for like the venues specifically, not all bag policies are the same. I have a feeling that the bag policy at Raymond James is probably one of the more strict ones. I think the rest of you are probably going to be fine. But again, check those venue rules just to be sure. The Raymond James bag policy required like a 4.5 inch by 6.5 inch bag, which is, I don't know about the rest of y'all, but that is not a size that exists where I live or where I shop. And so I ended up just guessing. I think my bag was like 5 by 7, and I'm like, that's gonna have to do. And it was fine. I did get a clear bag, even though a clear bag wasn't required, and it was torture to try and hold all of my stuff in it, but it's fine, it's whatever. But I think other venues probably are gonna let you have more normal bag sizes. So you should be good. Clear bags are usually the general standard, not all the time, but make sure those bags are clear and just that they fit the size restrictions. In Tampa, you could rent a locker if need be, but nobody's going to want to get out of line and go rent a locker. So the other thing, talking about, different concert related, venue related things, I would definitely recommend planning well in advance for merch. I had a really easy experience with merch at Jin's concert, and that made me think that we would have an easy enough time with merch at this concert. I was so wrong. I basically saw that people were lining up several days in advance, and I was like, never mind, we are not getting merch. So we did not get merch for this concert. I'm hoping we can get merch for when we go to Arlington, or something that I'm definitely going to consider for Arlington as well is considering that, Weverse has like that merch pickup option, and I'm definitely going to pay more attention to it for Arlington than I did for Tampa. So that's something, I don't know, for those of you seeing the concerts in Europe, I don't know if they're going to do that for you guys, having like that merch pickup option, but definitely something to consider. Because I think it will give you a better chance to get merch than what I did in Tampa. And then my final tip, other than, of course, have an amazing time, which I still carries from the other slide, have an amazing time, but my last tip is kind of like the first tip about army etiquette around like the city and the stadium and things like that. The other one is concert etiquette when it comes to like signs and army bombs and stuff. I did see some people at the Tampa concerts who were saying that sometimes their view, but I think this was especially like a floor seat issue, was that their view was getting blocked by people's signs or army bombs or things like that. So the other pretty obvious tip, but it bears saying, it's just exercise concert etiquette and just remember that other people are there to have a good time too. But other than that, those are my tips, and I hope that you have an amazing time when you guys go. So those are my key tips for you all. And if you have anything else to add, those of you who were also at Tampa or have been to other concerts in the past, please feel free to add your tips as well. Yeah, Sonia, I think that's a really, really cool feature, and it was just, you can add that to my tally of rookie mistakes that I was like, oh, I don't think that'll be necessary. It was very necessary. I made such a big error with that. By the time when we got in merch lines, like the merch lines, so we actually went back to the venue on Sunday because, we live in Florida, so we were driving. So it's like not like we had to catch a flight or anything. We could leave whenever we wanted. So we just went back over and we're like, it's earlier in the day. Let's see if we can get in the merch lines, blah, blah, blah. And we were able to get in the merch lines, no problem. Like we weren't waiting very long at all. But, by the time we got up to the front, they were like, yeah, no, we are totally out of every size. And we're just like, okay, we're gonna leave. So my parents were sad. They both wanted tour shirts very badly. So I'm like, I'm gonna keep my eyes on it. I'll keep an eye and see if there's merch pickup for Arlington, and we'll go from there. But thank you, Sonia. I'm glad you liked the tips. I was really trying to think of like everything that I could think of that would possibly go wrong. But if you have any other questions for me, or any of you are curious about like your own packing lists or things to buy, definitely let me know and I'll give you my advice. I'm, like I said, still a concert novice myself, but if I can give anybody any tips or ideas to help their concert go as smoothly as possible, I definitely want to, because you never want your concert experience ruined by a small thing that could have been preventable. So I was very, very stressed before this concert for a lot of different reasons, and if I can help prevent that stress for the rest of you, I definitely want to. Yeah, I am so glad to share my experience, and I'm really looking forward to hearing the experiences for the rest of you. When I do my next concert live stream after Arlington in August, I know a lot of you who are going to the concerts in Europe and some of the other concerts in North America, you'll have had your concert experiences too. So I'm really excited to kind of get your perspective on what you've experienced as well. That'll be really fun and can kind of add to what I'm saying too. So I can't wait to hear everybody's experiences when you do your concerts as well. And if there's any other questions that you all had for me, either about like these tips or just kind of like you were, asking about my opinions on stuff, please feel free to ask me anything. I'm happy to answer any other questions y'all might have, or get in any other discussions. No, I don't think it's just you, Hitchhiker Hobbit. I did get an error message on YouTube. I don't know why it's doing that, but YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. I don't know why, but I will probably go ahead and start wrapping things up fairly soon just because of those issues, just so you guys don't have to like suffer through any issues on my end. But we will so we'll start wrapping it up probably within like the next 10 minutes or so you don't have to suffer through those issues. But yeah, so there's a shirt. It's kind of like a grayish brown shirt that had like their concert dates on the back. And that's really what my parents wanted. They really wanted like a tour shirt that had the concert dates on it. So that was something that they really wanted. I personally love the shirt that it was like the Big Dipper on the back and then 7 in stars on the front. I really liked that, but I think it was a sweatshirt, and I'm like, I don't necessarily need a sweatshirt. So I don't know, but it was cool. So I might see. That was I think what we wanted the most. So fingers crossed that we can get that on Weverse. Oh, good. I'm glad that the stream seems to have maybe equalized out a little bit for some of you. But if some of you, if it's starting to become really, really bad, luckily, yeah, like you said, Hitchhiker Hobbit, we're near the end anyway. So luckily we got through most of it. I don't think it's just you. It gave me a warning message that said it had gone to the quality had gone down to poor. It's jumped back up now, so I mean maybe it's corrected. I don't know. But yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised that it took this long. I'm glad though, because I was worried when we started. But so Sonia is asking, when is the next live stream? Oh, and Tista had also asked when the concert in Arlington is. So Arlington is in August. I believe August 16th. Let me check real fast. I have so many emails. It is. I'm going to, yes, the one on the 16th. So, that's a Sunday. So Sunday the 16th of August is when I'll be doing Arlington, and then I think their other concert is the 15th. Oh, okay, good. I'm so glad that a refresh helped. Thank goodness. But so that'll be when my next concert is, and then I'll figure out when we want to do a stream for that one. In terms of, non-concert related live streams, just like getting back into the normal swing of things now that I'm, done with like concert prep, and that I'm back. I'm hoping to get into some more regular stuff. So my next regular stream is going to be May 17th. In terms of next concert stream, we'll figure that out when we get there. But that next stream, if you came in a little bit later, you might not have seen this. But the next concert stream, or I'm sorry, the next general live stream that I'm planning to do on May 17th is just going to be a book club. So if you'd like to join us for book club and get into the discussions for anything, that's going to be about The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas. So I'm hoping that we can just it'll be the very first book club that we're doing. I'm hoping that we can kind of work out some of how we want book club to go. So it'll kind of be like an experiment, which is part of why I picked such a short piece for us to watch, or for us to read, sorry. And that way we can it's not going to be a huge commitment the way reading like Damien would be, or The Little Prince, or any of the other, books that I have my eyes on to talk about. This will just be a nice, short, quick, and the crazy thing about The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas is it's so short, but it packs such a punch. So I think it'll be a good one to dive into, but also it won't be, it won't require too long to actually read it. It'll be a quick read, so. And I welcome all of your feedback and input when we are prepping for that and when we're doing that stream, so that way I can make book club better in future. And as I said at the beginning of the stream, I am also going to be very mindful of the fact that the rest of you have concerts going on throughout the summer, so I'm not going to be like doing super intense, like, please read this whole book, because I know you will be doing your own concert preparation and things. So I'll kind of be working things out with that in mind and figuring out how we want to do what and when. But so did anybody else have any other questions about anything related to the concerts, any other comments that you wanted to make, or just in general, since it has been like about a month or so since I've been on live stream, if there's anything else that you wanted to ask me or like bring to my attention? I know we've gotten a lot of content since then, so feel free to ask me anything as we kind of start winding down. Yay, I'm so glad. I'm so glad you guys are excited for book club. I'm really excited for it too. I like I said, I didn't want to overwhelm anybody while they were trying to do their own concert prep, but I am so excited for book club, so I'm glad that you all are excited too. I didn't want to wait. Overall thoughts about the concert as a whole. Yeah, it was a great time. I admit part of my anxiety was like because if you all watched my previous live stream, you know I'm not the biggest fan of Arirang. So I admit I was a little bit nervous of just like, am I gonna like the balance of this concert? And I mean, it's still just a joy to be where BTS is and watch BTS perform, even if I'm not overly fond of the songs. Like, you know, it's still, and there are, you know, like we were saying earlier, there are some songs off of the album that I am, you know, a fan of and that I do enjoy. So like that was a lot of fun. And I enjoyed singing along with those and jumping up and down, and, you know, just getting to be there and see the boys is such a joy, you know, and that, you know, that was great. And that was so exciting. And, you know, it really feels so good to be at a BTS concert or a BTS event like that and be ARMY, you know, in a crowd of people like that is such a great and unique feeling. And so that was great. I was talking with my mom about it just the other day, and I love what she described. So she and my dad first met back when they were both going to like a pretty well-known state college. Like this college is really well known, you know, among people who are like in the know about that type of things, for being like a college that really emphasizes like unity and pride in their college, like to the point where if you visit this college or you're a member of like you're going to school at this college, they will go, if they see you on campus, they will shout, "We are," and you're supposed to shout the name of the school back. Like, so it's very much like a feeling of unity. And she was talking about how like going to like college football games, even if you didn't like football or care about football, was still exciting because it was like the group dynamic, and it was like that feeling of unity and like the just like the special culture that existed doing that. And she said that she feels like that was part of why, like, you know, my dad was like kind of blown away by that vibe, because he probably hasn't really ever experienced something like that since back in his college days, and was like kind of almost like nostalgic, you know, because like my parents and I were not sports people, so it's like we don't go and do like sports related things. We don't have a sports team that we follow really. We don't go to other concerts super often. When we went to Coldplay, that was kind of like more of a fluke. We were just like, yeah, let's do it, why not? So we don't really have a lot of things that give us that same feeling, but a BTS concert is that. And so having that feeling of unity and, you know, like I said earlier, that feeling where you're like, I am ARMY, I belong to BTS, is so special, and there's nothing like it. So yeah, that energy, you know, that feeling, that community, that sense of community and togetherness is unsurpassed. Like, it's such an amazing feeling. And that for me, I think, was a big part of the concert. And just knowing that the boys were back, getting to hear them say "I Purple You," getting to do, like, for my concert, getting to do Magic Shop with them, you know, those moments of togetherness, that's what being an ARMY is all about for me. And we were just mentioning it a little bit on Discord the other day when we were talking about it. Like I mentioned, for me, one of my favorite things about being an ARMY, one of the most important things about being an ARMY, is that BTS gave me the feeling that I belonged, you know, and they gave me that sense of belonging. And you feel it at a concert. Alrighty, everybody. So I think I'll go ahead and start wrapping it up here. But thank you so much for being a part of this stream today. I've been looking forward to this all week. I've been so excited to, you know, talk about everything with you all and hear your feedback, share my stories, you know, and kind of just generally share that hype together for the fact that this is, you know, there's still so much to come from this tour, and I'm very excited to experience all of it with you. Like I said at the beginning of the stream, thank you all so much. I apologize that I took a little bit extra time to come back, but I really appreciated having that space. So thank you all so much for that. And I'm back now and ready to get back into it. So I'm really excited to be back. And I hope to see you at that May 17th stream for book club. And thank you so much for being here. I'm so glad you had fun. Oh, good, good. I'm so glad. It makes me so glad to hear that those tips are useful. I definitely, yeah. And if you're staying at a hotel and you can charge your phone up before you go, that's really great too. But I definitely recommend having backup power. You'll be glad that you did. So make sure you got your cord and backup power. It's such a peace of mind thing. Yes, I was very glad to be able to share my experiences with all of you. It feels like getting to share in the fun, with all of you by being able to bring it back and tell you everything and show off photos and chat. So thank you all so much for being here, for all your great questions and comments as always. I can't wait to see you all again really soon. And if any of you are going to concerts, feel free to drop them in the chat or in the comments. Like I said, for those of you who are on my regular viewers, I know we've had previous discussions, so I remember where some of you guys are going from previous conversations. But if you're new here or you catch this live stream later, yeah, feel free to let me know if you're getting to see them and where you're going, because it's always nice to know when those dates come up, like, hey, I know that this person's going to be there, that person's going to be there. It makes me happy. But otherwise, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for spending your Sunday with me. I hope you have a great rest of the day, a great rest of your week, and I'll see you again on the 17th. Of course, if anything changes with that, I'll let you know in the post section of my channel, but otherwise, I think that's looking pretty good that May 17th will be our next day for a stream. Thank you so much. You all as well. Have a great rest of your day, and I can't wait to talk to you again very soon. Bye, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.